Most fighters step into the cage because they have no other choice. The alternative is worse than getting hit. Arman Tsarukyan had every other choice. His father built a construction empire in southern Russia. A comfortable life was already paid for. He turned it down. At 29, he holds 23 wins, a 5-fight streak over some of the most dangerous lightweights, and a question that follows him everywhere. Why does a rich kid choose to fight? Arman Tsarukyan was born in Akhalkalaki, a small town in southern Georgia near the Armenian border. He was 100% ethnic Armenian, the middle child of 3. When he was about 3 years old, the family moved to Khabarovsk, a freezing city in Russia's far east. They arrived with nothing and they slept in a car. Years later, Arman said plainly that they did not have a house. His father was working all day. They had nothing, they slept in the car, and it was cold. A Dagestani family, complete strangers, took them in for a year while his father Nairi built their first home with his own hands. His brother Artur pushed back against the public image, saying people think they were born in a golden cradle, but they did not even have wrestling shoes, and they lived in a sort of a ghetto. But Nairi never stopped working. By the time Arman was 12, the construction business was real. Within a few more years, the family was genuinely wealthy. At 16, Arman received a Subaru STY from his father, but something in him had already been set long before the money came. He started with freestyle wrestling as a child. Coaches said he had Olympic potential, but they forced him to cut weight when he was 7 years old, starving for days before competitions. He grew to hate it. He switched to ice hockey, played for Hockey Club Amur for years, and dreamed about the NHL. But he started too late. The dream died. At 17, he faced a real crossroads. His father's business was waiting. He tried it for 3 months. He woke at 6 and got home at 2 in the morning. After 3 months, he was done. No way I can be here anymore. I want to be in a sport. When someone asked him later why he chose fighting, his answer was simple. I just don't like to work. I like fighting. His first professional MMA fight came at 18. He was terrified. When he got there and saw the cage, he told himself, no way I'm going to fight here. He was so scared. He won by a first-round technical knockout. Then he did something almost nobody does. He went back to amateur competition to earn his Master of Sports title and to win a Russian championship. He focused on building foundations while other fighters rushed ahead. His second pro fight was a disaster. He was knocked out cold in 30 seconds. 1 year later, he avenged it with a first-round submission. From there, he tore through Russian and Asian regional circuits. 13 wins, 1 loss, 9 finishes. About $4,000 per fight. Cold gyms. Small crowds. The real struggle was never about money. It was the label, rich boy. Opponents used it to question his hunger. If you come from comfort, you cannot truly fight. And there was a quieter cost. He moved to American Top Team in Florida, leaving his wife Milena and their 2 daughters behind in Russia. He spent 8 or 9 months at a time away from his family. The comfort his father built was 6,000 miles behind him. His UFC debut came on 3 weeks' notice against Islam Makhachev, already one of the most dangerous grapplers in the division. Most fighters would have said no as a first assignment. Arman said yes immediately. He lost by decision, but the fight itself was a statement. He matched Makhachev exchange for exchange. Both men earned Fight of the Night. Years later, even after Makhachev became champion, that bout was still considered one of the toughest tests of his career. From there, the climb accelerated. Decision wins turned into finishes. He destroyed Beneil Dariush in 64 seconds. He beat Charles Oliveira at UFC 300 by split decision. He was the #1 contender. The title shot was his. But his own temperament nearly tore it apart. At UFC 300, during his walkout, a fan gave him the middle finger. Arman punched him in the face. He was suspended 9 months. Before a fight in Qatar, he headbutted Dan Hooker at the weigh-in and broke his nose. He won that fight by submission, but the damage outside the cage was done. Then came the biggest blow. He finally had his title fight against Makhachev at UFC 311. He spent over $150,000 on a training camp, 4 coaches, 11 sparring partners. 2 days before the fight, his lower back seized during the weight cut, a hernia. His coach said he could not even sit up. He called it the hardest decision of his career. The fan punch, the headbutt, the pullout, it all added up. When the UFC booked an interim title fight, Arman was passed over. Dana White said it plainly. There is no doubt that he is the #1 guy in the world right now, but he had some opportunity. Today, he is ranked number 2 in the lightweight division with a 5-fight win streak and no fight booked. On a podcast with Daniel Cormier, he said, "Dana and Hunter Campbell forgive me. Give me a title fight. I'll be a good boy, and I'm not going to hit anybody anymore." He carries the Armenian flag into every fight. He says, "I am a Russian fighter, but I represent Armenia. When I see Armenians in the stands, I know that no one can defeat me this evening. I will win or die." Fans call him the Bruce Wayne. He drives a Rolls-Royce Phantom to UFC events now. The same man who once slept in a car because his family had nowhere else to go. He was not born into wealth. He was born into immigration and cold winters in a parked car. His father built the comfort. And when it was Arman's turn to choose between the business and the cage, he chose pain. Not because he had to, because comfort was never an option.